Hi, and welcome back to Pensive Podcast. Yay! I'm Chloé and I'm the host of Pensive Podcast. And today I'm here with a very special guest all the way from Tokyo. It's Emma.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi. So you might know Emma as Tokidoki Traveler. She's a content creator, host of Tokyo Creative. She's very into her music and we'll be getting all into that. Originally from Australia. Yes. Before we get started, I have to do my self-promo. A bit about myself. Yes, I am the host of this podcast. I'm also the founder of Pensive, and I'm a life coach. So if you want to talk to me about anything managing your life, please feel free to email me. And I'm the creator of the NPR method, a creative life management system, which is all about managing your life in a holistic way. So if you want to find out more about that, please visit the website.
Okay. And Chloé is my very good friend.
Yes.
And she's lovely. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, this is so exciting. I didn't realize, I didn't think I'd have a guest this early on.
Yeah, you're like a couple episodes in.
I'm like, yes.
The timings worked out really well.
I know. First of all, before we get into it, how are you feeling?
Good. I'm a little bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I feel my heart rate's up a little bit. We're in a strange room. I'm in a different country.
in a different country, in a strange room. So today's podcast will be focused on you, who you are, what you do. And I think people will be so interested because you're one of those people who's made it, especially in a place where a lot of people aspire to be in Japan, in Tokyo, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that the kind of how you got there and how anybody tends to get there is really talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we're friends, I know a lot more about it, all the personal stuff, but we won't be going into that, obviously.
We go into some of it.
Some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
But I think just talking about the realities of being a content creator and what that means. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I like seeing your content, but I also know who you are.
Yeah. It becomes weird watching friends' content after you get to know them. Yeah.
Let's just start off with your background, I guess, because I feel like even people who've seen your videos, maybe they don't know so much about you and where you started. So can you tell us about you, your acting kind of?
Yeah, sure. My parents are British. I was born in Australia and raised in Brisbane.
Mm-hmm.
And since I was in about primary school, I figured out that I wanted to be an actor. And so I dedicated everything to becoming an actor. And my dream was to be on a billboard in Brisbane. That was my huge dream. And I was like, one day I'm going to do it.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was cute. And yeah, I dedicated a lot of time. I went to university to study acting. And while I was at university, I gradually realized I'd been studying Japanese since grade 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Japan a few times and I gradually realized that I really wanted to be there. And so eventually I decided I want to be there so bad, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
And after I graduated university, I moved there on, thankfully, the working holiday visa because Australians and people in England and some countries all over the world can get working holiday. So I went over on working holiday, did a little bit of modeling and acting, a little bit of YouTube, a little bit of English teaching.
Yeah.
And then gradually YouTube was the one that won. So I was like, okay, we're doing that one. Thankfully, very luckily.
I don't know much about your modeling and acting experiences, especially in Japan. I've done a bit of modeling, but what was that like for you? Did you enjoy it? Did you think, okay, this is what's going to pick up more than the YouTube?
Yeah, I enjoyed it to a certain extent. I really enjoyed meeting the people that were there, the other actors and models. And the environments were cool. It was always new experiences. Some of it was a bit wacky and weird, but overall the pay is generally pretty low in Japan unless you're doing higher up stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes the conditions weren't super amazing.
Tell me about it.
And so with YouTube, I get to create my own content, make my own decisions. I'm not so at the whim of a company or a production team.
Yeah.
Even though with sponsored content, you still have to make it for another company. You still have your own rights and rules. And there's a bit more respect, I guess, with work when you're a YouTuber. But when I was doing modeling and acting, I felt a bit disposable and or we can just find another person that looks like you. And so that's why they could get away with charging or paying you so little. I feel. I have so many stories. There's a lot of horror stories. There were some jobs that were really good, some jobs that paid really well, but some that, there's a lot of ichimaen jobs, basically $100.
Yeah.
And they just make you do insane stuff.
Yeah. Go here, do that. You're like, okay, I need the money.
Yeah. When I was in Japan at the start, I was like, I need the money. I need the work and I need the money. So I just did a bunch of things that I would not do now.
And I guess when you first move, you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
You feel like, okay, this is my stepping stone in order to get where I want to be, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like if I had said no, I couldn't have made it in Japan, because if you say no to those opportunities, there's nothing. So, but, I don't want to advocate for people to just say yes to everything. You have worth, but it can limit you there with the kind of jobs that are on offer and the amount of money. But again, there are people that do make it in the modeling industry and they make more money. But for me as well, I trained as an actor and I was doing a lot of intense scene work with emotion and character and depth. And then suddenly I'm like, I'm the foreigner backpacker. I'm the foreigner in the shop. And I have to look around and go, wow, Japan. The depth was not really there, and it wasn't why I started acting. So I didn't have so much of a need to do it after doing it for a while. It wasn't what I was looking for.
I can't imagine just really training and dedicating yourself to the art of acting and then being that character.
I mean, a lot of actors in different countries still have to go through commercials and everything where you go, try laxatives. And it's not your passion, but it gets the job done. It wasn't what I was looking for. And the kind of acting that I was looking for didn't exist in a very well-paid form. I got offered some theater work. I was like, oh, exciting. And then it was just unsustainable. It couldn't pay my rent. As a foreigner living there on a visa, I had certain requirements, and that it's not going to pay the bills. It's not going to support me. So I couldn't do anything that I actually was like, oh, maybe that could be good. 2,000 yen a day?
That's unreasonable. Also, 2,000 yen in pounds or dollars. Like in dollars,
10 pounds.
10 pounds.
Like 20 Australian dollars, probably like 15 US dollars. I went to the theater. I met all the other actors and they're like, yeah, so we can offer you 2,000 yen a day. And I was like, and they're like, you have to be here every single day, even if you're not rehearsing. You have to watch the rehearsals. And I'm like, I have to do my job. I have to pay my bills. And they're like, that's not allowed. The true actor would be here.
Oh my God.
Okay.
No. I don't think that's reasonable, guys.
Yeah.
Were you doing another job at the same time? Were you English teaching?
Yeah, I did a lot of freelance English teaching when I first went to Japan. So I just went on websites, signed myself up. I don't know how hard it is now because I feel like there's more people in Japan. Now. But then it was like, oh, there she is.
Yeah.
I didn't have any teaching experience, so I hope it turned out okay.
No, I honestly, throughout my time in Japan, 5 years, I never struggled to find an English teaching job.
Yeah.
It was very much just can you speak English?
Yeah.
Okay, you get the job,
Yeah, it's when you want to find jobs outside of that, then it's like...
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Exactly. Exactly. I think you did really well. I mean, you had was it the motion capture thing?
Yeah, so the motion capture job was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. And I was in the video game and the DLC. And I played... In the main one, I played a bunch of female characters, and in the DLC, I was every female character.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So every
female character, which feels crazy because for Marvel women, it's like one body type. And then it's like, okay, run through this door as as Captain Marvel, run through the door as Gamora, run through the door as the Wasp, or every single character. I'm like, okay, I'll try with straight hands this time. Now with fists. Now with a bit more nice walk. I was like, how can I separate all these women from each other? And I know that they have their own characteristics and everything, but there were so many characters that it's like you have to keep coming up with stuff.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I did really long days in the mocap suit. And yeah, I'm very proud of that. That was one that I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah.
Very proud of it. But they have asked me since then, hey, we have more motion capture work. Would you like to do it? And I've said no.
No.
I've got it on my resume. I had the experience. I'm done with that part of my life, I think. I don't really say yes to acting gigs anymore.
Right. So you've completely moved away from...
Yeah, I don't do anything like that anymore. My passion for it has moved elsewhere, and the payment for it is not usually very amazing.
Yeah.
And the treatment, I get treated better as a YouTuber.
Okay.
Yeah, I get more respect as a YouTuber, I feel.
So now you are Tokidoki Traveler.
I am.
Okay, well, I guess we'll get into why you said it like that.
Yeah, I looked down. I don't know why I felt I couldn't look you in the eye.
That's such a... obviously, like, massive part of your online persona is that you are Tokidoki Traveler. You are this person in Japan, right? So first, before we get into all the content stuff, because there's a lot of content creation, you live in Japan, you live in Tokyo. What is your favorite thing about living in Tokyo?
I really love a lot about living in Tokyo. So favorite thing is difficult, but I would say the city infrastructure and how easy it is to get everywhere with public transport.
Yeah.
And just how much there is to do and see connected by public transport.
Yeah.
Whether it's like inside the city for events and special areas doing things, or leaving the city and going to the mountains or the beach or wherever.
So you currently are living there. Do you think you'll stay there?
That's one question I get asked every time. I'm sure you got asked all the time when you were there.
Yeah.
The first question I feel like I get is, so are you going to be there forever?
Forever, yeah.
And I'm like, forever's a long time, guys.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen globally, politically, financially, family-wise? It's like, so there's so many things that can change in the future that, I have no idea. I love Tokyo. At this point in my life, I'm building a future there and I want it to be my future, but there is a chance that it could change.
Yeah.
But for right now in my life, I am settling in even more. I've been there for 9 years now.
Oh my God. It's a long, like, big chunk of your life.
Yeah. I feel like I grew up so much there.
Absolutely did.
Yeah.
You know, you went there when you were
20.
A lot of people go to Tokyo when they are that young and kind of come into themselves in Tokyo, which is strange. Like, outside of your home country, you're kind of isolated. You get to know a lot more about yourself.
It forces you to do so many things that you could rely on parents or relatives or close people in your home country. Like medical things or like working full time and, like, you know, those things that usually you gradually get into and have the supportive family. It's like you are alone and now it's going to be really hard. I have been very, 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 very fortunate in my journey there. There's been, of course, skill and hard work involved, but the amount of luck has also been equal to that or even more, you know. I feel very lucky with how my journey's gone. But for some people, a lot of people, it can be a very hard journey there. I feel like with my content, I am honest about my experiences, but usually I do mainly focus on the positive ones on YouTube anyway.
Yeah.
I talk honestly about a lot of things. I have a genuine love for Japan, but also
genuine exhaustion.
Yeah. People get so exhausted. I had such exhaustion there.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you know, being in another country with visas and requirements and everything, you know, you have to be working and fighting to be there a bit.
It does feel like a constant battle and like an uphill battle, and you just don't feel like it'll ever end. Like for me, it didn't end.
Yeah.
I decided that, okay, I don't want to endure this for any longer, so that's why I came back. But I also feel I was lucky in my situation, just like how I was with like things financially and jobs that I landed and stuff and the experiences that I got to have.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some kind of realization that it's not going to be easy if you want to. I mean, moving abroad is not easy.
Yeah. It always depends on the person's situation financially, what support they have, what their degrees in, their knowledge of Japanese, whether they can afford language school or connections they already have. You know, there's so many different factors. But what I say to people, because I have so many people coming into my stream and saying, hey, I don't have a degree and I want to go to Japan.
Sorry, I just forgot. Emma is also a Twitch streamer.
Also Twitch
It's
streamer.
Twitch streamer. Sorry, that should have been mentioned
No,
at the
you're
beginning.
totally fine. You're totally fine.
Okay, yeah, continue.
But yeah, I get people coming in and telling me scenarios that from my experience feel so impossible. Like there was somebody who came in and they're like, I'm a forklift driver. I don't speak any Japanese. I
Right.
want to move to Japan.
Right.
And I have to tell them honestly, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's going to be work because there'll be a Japanese forklift driver.
Mhm.
English isn't a requirement for being a forklift driver.
Yeah.
There'll be a Japanese person who they can pay them less and not have to sponsor their visa.
Yeah.
So there will have to be things that you'll have to learn along the way. And it's going to be really hard. And I don't know if you can do it, but I want you to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Please prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, that there are people who are exceptions and get there and find a different way and
Mhm.
make it work. And it is possible.
Yeah.
I want it to be realistic, but also it's not, who am I to tell someone it's not going to happen? You know, there are so many people that have made it work and have done crazy things there,
Yeah.
and they have such drive and ambition that I'm like, anything's possible,
Yeah.
but it is going to be hard.
The barrier to
Yeah.
entry is quite high. It's quite
Yes.
high.
Yeah.
And then progressing past that point, even more tricky.
Yeah. And then, you know, once you get into a career, there's a lot of careers where it's difficult to climb a ladder or have anywhere to go. You
Mhm.
get in and then it's like, oh, that's as high as it goes.
Yeah.
There's so many different things with going into the workforce in Japan
Yeah.
that especially depending on your Japanese level, you know. And I have a friend who got her Japanese level good enough that she was hired just because, like, as a worker, not because she's foreign. She doesn't have to do anything to do with being a foreigner.
Yeah.
But then she's also completely overworked and had a really rough time because it was a black company.
Oh, no.
And it's like, who can win here? you know?
Yeah. Also, a black company is basically, it's just like a terrible.
Everyone knows there's a huge amount of black companies where it's like, oh, that is a bad company to work
Yeah.
for. Lots
Yeah.
of like unpaid overtime, expectations,
Yeah.
underpaid and overworked, basically,
Yeah.
with really bad conditions.
Yeah, it's like a standardized term. It's buraku kigyo, like a
Yeah.
black company. So if anyone tells you,
Yeah, that's a black company. Be like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do it.
Yeah. It's really sad that
Yeah.
it's like an actual term, but yeah, we have to recognize it.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about your content creation. Woohoo! How would you describe like the kind of stuff that you make for, I guess, YouTube?
I feel like it's Japan content, but also now I'm trying to aim to show things that not as many people are talking about. There's a lot of Japan content out there now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find things where I'm like, has anyone talked about this yet? What can I show that hasn't been fully shown, or show something that in a different light?
Yes.
You know,
because there's only so much snacks from 7-Eleven and how to get a visa in Japan you can do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're not interested in doing those kind of things as much.
It's interesting because that content does really well, and trying to find that balance of what do I want to do well, but also remain to be like something that I actually want to talk about and enjoy. Yeah. It's been interesting trying to find that line because I kind of just stopped for a while and then I was like, okay, what content do I want to make? I'm like, I don't want to make that content anymore.
Because you've made a lot of like Japan content. Do you feel like a Japan expert? Because I know for me, when I was in Japan, I would get weekly messages of people saying, how to become a model? How do I do this in Japan? And you suddenly find yourself as like the resource rather than Google. I don't know why people just refuse to use Google, but you become the resource. Do you feel like you have to become an expert in Japan, or just because you've made content about it?
I guess just through my lived experience in Japan, I get so many people in my chat in Twitch that just ask, how about this visa? Or tell me about visas, or tell me about housing or apartment situations. Tell me about jobs. Or they're like, what do you recommend in Tokyo? And I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know your preferences. I don't know what you want specifically. Are you into anime? Are you into cafes? You know, I get asked constantly questions about Japan, and I guess I don't know about expert. I know enough to answer people's general questions about Japan. But there are people out there that know so much more about Japan than me. I'm not super great with history. I'm not good with certain traditional aspects. Like there's so much I don't know. But there are certain things that I do know. So,
absolutely, there is, because you do a lot of travel stuff.
But sometimes like someone asked me, a friend of mine was like, I'm going to Nagano. What's a ryokan I can stay at? I'm like, oh, I have no idea. I don't know Nagano.
That's really specific and also very Googleable.
Yeah. There's some things where I'm like, I think that could be Googled. I think you can Google that. But if you Google like things to do in Tokyo, it's like go to Takeshita Dori, go to Asakusa, go to Roppongi, have a drink.
Yeah, and I think that's why people come to you rather than look at that kind of stuff, because you do go outside of the norm, I guess.
Well, every time I think I don't know enough, I'm not an expert, I don't know, I'm just some girl in Japan, I don't know everything, and then someone's like, try 7-Eleven onigiri. Here's how you open it. And I'm like, oh wait, I know more than I think I do.
Yeah.
I need to give myself credit. I've been there for a long time.
Yeah. Do you enjoy like all your traveling? Because you get to see a lot of Japan that people don't, I think.
Yeah. Actually, traveling kind of died down a little bit after I injured my foot at the end of last year. But I love traveling, but also sometimes the scheduling, there's been times where I've been in a place and I'm like, I don't know where I am right now. I've gone from here to here to here. And then I'm like, have you tried this sake? It's made with the purest spring water. And I'm like, we're in Gunma. We're in Hokkaido. We're in Aomori right now. I do enjoy a lot of aspects of traveling, especially if the timetable is manageable and we get a little bit of time to actually enjoy it ourselves.
Yeah, because you actually want to learn more about where it is you're at.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I've just been told these words. Here are the words.
Right.
But when I have time and it goes in, I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So when it's a good shoot like that, I have a really good time and I get to enjoy. But sometimes it's a bit rushed and then I'm like, oh, no.
And I think that's the negative side of content creation, because it is very much a treadmill. Like you have to get it out and do it by some certain brief. It's that weird thing of like, I get to see all these things, but I can't actually appreciate them.
So people don't see it, but for client jobs, if we go to a prefecture, or if I get brought over as Tokidoki Traveler to a prefecture or an area or for a company, there will be the client there 90% of the time. And it's usually, some Japanese salarymen in their suits, and they will always be there. So I have a lot of videos where I'm like, I'm in the peaceful prefecture of blah, and right behind the camera, there's some businessmen just watching me. So often.
Oh my God.
And you just get used to it. And they're usually really nice. Sometimes it's like, oh, stressful, depending on how intense they are. But usually they're really chill. Yeah. They'll tell you about the prefecture and everything. But it just being monitored to make sure I'm doing the right thing and checking footage and stuff, it can be a little intimidating. And a lot of people don't know about it because it looks like, oh, look, I'm in blah, blah, blah. And then I have to cut so many things because then I'll be in a forest and there'll just be a guy in a suit behind me. And I'm like, no, I can't use that shot. The Slender Man's in the back there.
I think it's really strange because content creation, I think the word that comes up a lot is like being authentic, showing yourself and stuff like that. So when you hear things like client, man in business suit, it kind of counters that idea of what content creation is, especially at this point in time, content creation is very much about your personal brand. And I know right at the beginning of when you started, it was way more personal.
Yes.
You let a lot more out about your personal life.
Absolutely did.
How would you say you've gone from kind of then, I don't know, was it like 6 years ago when you started? 7?
9.
Literally 9.
I started when I got to Japan.
Okay. So from 9 years ago to now, like how do you feel about, sharing your personal life and how that's affected your quote unquote authenticity?
Yeah, it's a very excellent question. So in university, I was interested in YouTubers. Like growing up, I watched a lot of YouTubers, and I liked seeing ones that were very authentic and very real, with just saying everything that was going on in their life, really raw emotion. And through the lens of a camera, I was like, this is so interesting. Yeah. I did my final project on learning about what could be real in a person because we're different in front of a lens. We're different in front of, like, I'm different right now in front of a camera than I am when the cameras are off.
Yeah.
Not too much, but I'm talking a lot more than usual. But we're different people in front of different people. And so when there's a camera lens in front of you, who are you and who do you want to be in front of the camera? I did a lot of work and research on that because I really wanted to be my real self. And that started, when I was 20, I was like, I'm going to be 100% open with all my experiences. Mm-hmm. And, I've had to go back and take down some stuff that I'm like, that was very personal.
Yeah.
I was crying at a party at one point. I filmed myself drunk at a party. I talked about my sexuality and I was like questioning it and, going through very personal stuff. And I was like, let me chuck that on the internet,
No.
And people love it. That and, TikTok and Reels and social media these days, the more open you are, the more interaction you're going to get.
Right,
the more outrage, the more people are going to be like, you're wrong, you're right. People want to see real people. Mm-hmm. So it brings in numbers and it brings in validation, but it also brings in attacks. And the attacks are on you as a person. Yeah. If you're being very genuine, being like, hey, here's my real self. And people are like, I think you're stupid. Like, oh no.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. But
yeah. And I used to take things on very intensely. If someone was telling me you're amazing, you're the best thing I've ever seen, I'd be like, wow, yippee, that's great. And then I'd be scrolling through, everybody loves it. And someone's like, I wish you would do expletive and leave the planet. And I go, oh my God, why would someone want me to do that? And I would take it all on so much. And my ego was like, woo, woo. I think ego on YouTube is a whole conversation in itself. But over time, the stress just built and built because I put my value, attached it to work because my personality, my personal life was my job. And so there was no barrier of what was safe. There was no safety for me. Everything was kind of bared and it just felt worse and worse. And I was making more content and being like, here's more and here's me and I need to give them more and I'm not doing good enough and they're saying this about me and they're saying this about me. And it just got really bad. And then it reached a point where I was like, oh, I'm not doing good. I'm not very happy.
Yeah.
And I went on some other personal journeys in my own life, which I'm not going to talk about.
It's a podcast. It's not therapy.
We're not going to talk about that. I pay someone for that. I realized I was like, I got to step back right now. I'm not doing good. And I realized through my values changing with other aspects of life, I looked at values of me and my work and I'm like, I value myself more as a person now. I don't know what I am in relation to my work. There's a whole conversation to be had about the ego of wanting to put a video of yourself on the internet that I don't even know where I'm at with yet. But I took a break and I took a step back and I started, taking down some videos that were very personal, stopped putting out so much personal information. I don't really feature my friends and family anymore. I'll feature friends if they're on YouTube. I don't want my life to be a sitcom. I don't want to be a character. I'm communicated with from the audience as if I am a character and that they're my friend. And I'm like, I don't think you know me.
And that's always the issue. It's that word parasocial.
Yeah.
It becomes very like you also feed into it because you're so encouraged to share so much of yourself.
You're
rewarded for it.
You get money and number go up. That's the best feeling. The dopamine rush is more than you can imagine. It's like, wow, if I just talk about my personal life, I get big dopamine rush and big money. So it's like, the system is built for oversharing and this kind of messy relationship with the audience. And I talk about that as if I'm a professional and I know what I'm talking about, but I still have confusion about what is the best thing. Because I would say Twitch is a whole other beast. I love Twitch because it is live and it's fun and it's interactive and I have so much fun on there more than being by myself in a room with a camera.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm with people and actually talking. However, the parasocial relationships that come from Twitch, from the audience, and also the other way around.
Yeah.
I know these people.
Yeah.
Which is weird. We don't know these people. It's weird. Like I don't know these people, and they know me a little too well for strangers, but they don't really know me. And it's weird. Some of them I'm like, yeah, I think we'd be friends. But I'm like, we can't be friends because this is weird. As it's something that I don't know has been fully explored, the parasocial relationships on Twitch. Because with live content, it's a whole other beast. And I don't know what the future holds. Because I really love Twitch and I love interacting with people and it's super fun.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, it's a little too close for comfort. Like I'm a chronic oversharer. I find it really hard to not talk about things.
And that's why you're succeeding.
Yeah. I do have my secrets and I do talk about things once I'm comfortable enough to talk about them. I think I'm at that point in my life. And there are a lot of personal things that they're very vulnerable to share, but I also think that they're important to share. So I do talk about a lot on my Twitch, but at the end of the day, if I need to exit, delete the stream, be like, oh, you don't get to talk to me like that, or this is a bit too much, I can, but it's live. So it's like, I don't know where I'm at with Twitch. It's a very interesting platform.
I feel like since you started, you've become very much more aware of your boundaries, immediately blocking or banning people and saying that's not okay. You know, just at least on that front, I feel like that's changed a lot. People are more confident to say, actually, no, this is a boundary you cannot cross with me.
So I think that that's reflected in my personal life as well. I worked a lot on being able to say no to people because I really struggle with that and have struggled with that for a long time. So originally, if someone came into my chat and said something on the line of being something that I really don't like, it's not against a rule or anything. It's just uncomfortable. And I would think of all the reasons why that person could be a good person. Oh, but they must have said it for this reason. And they must be going through this. So it must be a hard time for them. So I don't want to hurt them even more. But in reality, you know, I have to protect myself.
Yeah.
They've come into my shop where I'm the manager of the store. And they've been, you know, if it's going to disrupt me, if it's going to disrupt my customers, I'm there entertaining and providing stuff for a bunch of people. I can't just sit there and worry about that person. That's their own business.
Yeah.
But it just ends up that I have to ban people sometimes. It's still hard though, because it's like, you know, sometimes someone will come in and I'm like, I don't think I get along with you. I don't think our personalities match. But I can't just be like, leave, because I don't really get along with you.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part, because you're actually, I like that you think about people as people, because that's what gets lost, you know? People do not think, oh, there's a person typing right now.
Yeah, but if you think about it too much like that, people get away with so much stuff.
Yeah.
If it's like, oh, but they're going through this and that must be really hard. But if there's so many people, it's not my job to take care of that person. They've come to me for entertainment. I'm there to provide entertainment and nothing else. I mean, I've had some people do some crazy stuff. I've had a lot of people do very inappropriate things that has been pretty traumatizing for me too. When it's like, you know, they're crying out for help.
Yeah.
And I just have to be like, I do not provide that.
Yeah.
I'm here to provide entertainment and sometimes deep conversation, but I'm not here to save anyone or do anything extra. That shouldn't be up to content creators. That's for a professional.
Yes.
But people are reaching out. You know, people want help from somewhere and they don't know where to get it.
Yeah.
And they get access to all of these people that feel like friends and feel like someone that they can just go into the void and tell them everything. The messages I get are crazy, but people just want connection. And through the screen, we're friendly. We're easy to connect to. And I feel for people, and I've been there myself. I don't think it's the appropriate thing to do.
No.
And it can put a lot of stress on people, but I understand why it's like that and why society has come to a place like that. You know, I see all the comments on Reels and TikToks, and I think people have forgotten that people are just people. And they just say the horrible opinions of this looks bad and you should do it like this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's a very dumb phrase, but it's like go outside and touch grass.
Literally
not in a bad way. Literally, it would benefit you so much to go outside and just find some more purpose other than feeling this like stewing in your negativity of finding something wrong with everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like Reels and TikTok and short form content really brings you into that, because you start and then it's like bad comment. You go, oh, I don't agree with that. Wait. And then it'll just keep feeding you the same thing. I just feel like I get asked a lot by other content creators, like, why aren't you doing short form content? And I'm like, it scares me.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so much easier. It takes no time. I'm like, some of the nastiest things I've received were on short form content. Long form content, people are there to sit in and relax and be like, oh, this is interesting. And then people are mean, but it's a different mind space than short form, I feel.
Yeah. Just going back to what you said, I thought it was very interesting. You were like, I'm just entertainment. That's really funny to me. It's just like, I'm just here to be the court jester.
Yeah, I feel like the court jester. I think with me, it's dangerous because I like talking about deeper topics, and I really like, being open about personal struggles as well, to a certain extent now, because I feel like it can help other people. I wish someone else was talking about these kind of things when I was going through them. But that also opens up the dialogue in a live format where people can be like, really? Because I'm also going through this.
Right.
Or really? Because I don't agree with you and I think this. And rather than me being like, here's my opinion, here's what I'm going through, then it becomes a dialogue and it can get a bit too heavy. So usually I'm like, here's what I think. Anyway, let's move along. I'm happy to have a dialogue about it to a certain extent. I'm like, I'm entertainment. And then I'm like deep topic. And I'm like, but I'm entertainment. We don't have to talk about it. I'm a bit cheeky like that, I feel.
I think it works though.
Yeah. I don't really want to be fighting with people on the internet or anything.
No, me neither.
But I want to be able to say, this is what I went through, or this is what happened to me, and maybe that might help you. I'm not an expert. This is just a personal anecdote. Anyway, let's get back to being silly. Well, I feel like that's kind of the vibe these days.
Yeah. I wanted to pivot to something maybe not a lot of people know that you're super interested in, but whenever we meet up, we always talk about music. Emma's like staying with me right now. And all we did was put on the new Charlie XCX album.
So
we didn't talk, we just vibed for like an hour and then we started talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to delve into that because I think that's like such a massive thing for you. And it's like the next, I don't know, maybe the next evolution, not of your content, but just like of your creativity and your creative journey. So just tell us a bit how you got into is it underground or like the music scene in Tokyo?
Yeah. So I'll just very briefly touch on when I was in like primary school, high school, I went through a big emo time. Got into a lot of My Chemical Romance, Panic! At the Disco, The Used, Fall Out Boy, etc. And then I was like, I'm done with it. I don't need this. I'm cool now.
Yeah.
And I stopped dressing emo and, went through some fashion evolutions. And I was like, it was just a phase. But was it really ever just a phase?
No, I literally said this on episode 1 of my podcast.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you're repeating this. I was like, it wasn't a phase.
It wasn't a phase.
It's not a phase.
It doesn't have to be a phase.
No.
I was ashamed at the time because I was like, I was young then. Now I'm old and I know that I like color. And during COVID, I was going through a big personal transformation because I went through a breakup and I was like, I'm going to change myself. And I started figuring out what I really wanted. And I found a music video for a band called 100 Gex. Right. For a song called Money Machine. And when I first watched it, I thought it was a joke. I thought some YouTubers had made a joke video for a fake song. Left it. I went back to it a month later and I was like, why is this good? Why is this good? And I started watching it again and again. I was like, this is really good. And then I got into more 100 Gex stuff. And then from that, I went into other hyperpop bands. I know that some bands don't like to be labeled as hyperpop, but I feel like hyperpop covers a huge arrangement of genres. Yeah. So I'll just be using the word hyperpop for this. But it just opened up my eyes to so many different artists. And I started enjoying more of the fashion, dressing in a bit more black. And it was very angsty and I was feeling very angsty at the time. And it really helped me express myself. Yeah. And then after that, I just got further and further into it. And for the first opportunity that I got, I went to a music show in Tokyo. It was still like full masks and I knew one person there kind of, but I was so desperate because no one else knew the music. I didn't know anyone that was into the same music to that level. And then I walked in to the club, and the DJ was playing a remix of a 100 Gex song.
Wow.
And the feeling of like, oh my God, I found it. Oh my God, it's here.
Yeah.
I've been looking for this. I've been stuck inside during COVID going to Minecraft concerts, and now I can finally go to a real show. And that DJ was Hidi, who is still a great performer. He's part of Pastasta, which you should definitely check out. They are amazing.
Okay.
Fritz is in there. Fritz is also an insane artist.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a really great Japanese group, Pastasta.
Pastasta.
Super fun and like full of jokes, but also really great beats. Really talented people. Check out Pastasta. Okay. But yeah, I started going to shows after that. But I went with you.
Yes.
Sometimes I go by myself. I was just trying to find my feet. Beginning of last year, so beginning of 2023, I finally found some really good friends and started going to all of these shows with all of these amazing DJs and performers and artists. And it was just so good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm in it. I found the people, and they were so lovely and welcoming. It isn't about drinking. It's not really like clubbing. No one's grinding on each other or anything. It's just about music appreciation and enjoyment and artistry. DJs, it's like, flip to the next song and do a little transition. But these people are making music as they're going. And it's an art form. It's so amazing to watch. So yeah, I go very regularly. I know a bunch of different people that run different events, and it's so much fun. It's really changed my life, and I'm just having the best time.
Yeah. I think, like you said, the best part is like finding other people who enjoy it as well, and just grasping onto this new community that you may not have had before.
Exactly. Like creating community in Tokyo is so important because, so many of us foreigners there, we don't have family there. We don't have like people that we've known since we were kids or anything. So finding your own people and community is so important. And I think it can make or break your stay there for sure. And for me now, going to these events for so long, I'll go to a show and I know someone, or I'll know a couple of people, or, I'll get messages like, oh, you going tonight, or are you going next week? And I'll show up and I'll just be like, hi, hey, how's it going?
That's so nice.
It's like, it's going into a third space where people know each other, can have a drink, have a chat, and listen to good music.
Yeah, and you see some really weird stuff.
I see some crazy stuff.
See some, like the one that you and I went to, we heard some guy just playing like alien music.
It was
woo, and then everyone's kind of watching.
But he was like, and I'm like, is there a beat? I can't hear a beat. He was loving it.
And another room where they had like Liminal Space, the video game, on a projector.
Yes.
And just playing music, and there were beanbags and stuff. That was odd.
That was a great night.
Yeah.
that space is gone now because Shibuya is being gentrified. They put a mall there. It's being built. Really sad. Yeah, a lot of music spaces in Shibuya have been destroyed because of all these shopping malls, and it's becoming a very touristy area. So
that sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks. There are other amazing clubs in other areas, but unfortunately, some of them have been destroyed.
So what is your like favorite venue or favorite area to go to listen to music?
I really like Bacon in Shinokubo. Did we go? Have you ever been to Bacon?
No, I remember following it and I was like, I really need to go because I love lights.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. They're renovating it right now. Heaven is a new one that I think that their drinks and their food are a bit expensive, but it's beautiful in there. The walkway down to it is like this red corridor.
Oh, wow.
Like, because it's underneath the train tracks in Nakameguro, and it just feels like kind of evil and like, where am I going? Oh, it's kind of exclusive.
Yeah.
And then inside in the dance area, they have this giant like LED ball instead of a disco ball, and the VJs, they can program whatever to go around the ball and like make whatever happen.
Yeah.
And there's like food and drinks, and there's separate areas and seats and stuff. It's really nice quality.
Yeah.
And the smoking is separated.
Oh.
A lot of places the smoking is not separated.
That's gross.
It's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. My eyes sting and stuff. I went to, was it our room? Somewhere in Shibuya. And there was a smoking area, but it was just a little fence. And it's all enclosed. They just put them in the corner like cattle. And I'm like, we're all dying. Like, that's not,
I know.
it's not helping at all.
Like, when I was going to fashion events and
Mm.
like all the fashion kids just smoked. And I was like, guys, don't you value your clothes? I
Yeah,
thought you were
the
fashion
clothing.
people.
After I go to some of these clubs when they don't separate the smoking, I'm like, my clothing smells so intense. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. But there's a lot of great clubs. In
Yeah.
Shimokitazawa, there's Cream and Spread.
Okay.
They're really good.
Okay.
Basement Bar is good for like band live gigs. I did a video on underground music where I featured
Yeah.
Basement Bar. So if you want more information, check out that video.
Whoa.
But yeah, there's so many great places in Tokyo.
So would you want to get involved past just being like a bystander and not like a viewer of music?
Yeah, I would really love to one day. I went through a bit of a tough time this past year with injuries and health.
Mhm.
Just something like I broke my foot,
Yeah.
and then it just took ages to heal, and my mentality around all of it was I just got a bit weird.
Mhm.
And I lost interest in hobbies. And I found out I was iron deficient and I was tired all the time.
There's so much going on.
And I had sinusitis and then I had a kidney stone. And it was a weird year.
Yeah.
And I feel like I miss my hobbies. And one of my hobbies was learning how to DJ. I'm at a certain point with it. I would like to get further along, and I have a lot of DJ friends. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I've just moved apartments. I'm really excited to get back to Tokyo because I feel a lot more energetic now. I'm on iron supplements. And I feel like moving forward, I would like to be making more time for DJing or guitar playing or whatever. And just, I would like that in the future, but I'll see how I go.
What is like the next step for you with your content creation, Tokyo, music? What do you think is like future Emma's goal?
I feel like very recently my goal has been to move closer into Tokyo and be more connected with community.
Yeah.
The people that I'm friends with, the music groups and everything, just being a bit closer in and being more connected. So moving forward, I'm really excited to be even more part of the communities and like, I just feel like that's a very important thing, and being closer to friends and being more social and everything. With work, now that I'm closer into Tokyo again, being able to, I don't know, meet up with other creatives and talk more about it and feel a bit more motivation from other people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've just been by myself for a long time, and I'd like to be able to get a bit more motivation, maybe collaborate with some people, do more streams, and just work up doing more work just a little bit more, because I'm feeling comfortable enough to allow a bit more work. I really reeled back for a while. But there's some really cool projects coming up. So I'm excited for work. I'm excited for the balance of taking my days off and having time for myself.
Nice.
I want to get a Times car share so I can go on little drives, because there's a Times car share near my new apartment, so I can be like, time for a little drive. Because I love trains, but
I do love trains.
Yeah, I feel like driving gives me more of a sense of I'm an adult and I'm in the city and I can do whatever I want and I can take a little drive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that's basically it. There's a bunch of goals for the future, but I am very happy with where I'm at now. I think this year's been a test, but I'm feeling really good and hopeful for the future. And stability, scheduling, and having fun with work and friends is the future for me.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
2020
Thrive. Everybody, it's going to be a thing.
2020 thrive.
2020 thrive.
Okay, well, this has been a really great conversation.
Yay.
Thank you for being the first guest on my podcast.
No worries.
Honestly, it got way deeper than I thought, which is great, because this is exactly what Pensive is about.
Yay.
So thank you. And please follow Emma and all her adventures. Please.
If you want, if you're feeling it.
I think
no
you should.
Pressure.
Support all her endeavors so that she can continue to be amazing.
Aww.
Yes. And also, please, if you're interested in more episodes like this, please follow Pensive Podcast. We're on YouTube, Apple Pods. I don't know why I said that.
Apple Pods.
And Spotify. So, thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.